Planet Delta 9 was quiet. The sun was rising over the silver mountains. Birds flew in the sky. People walked to work. Children laughed in the streets of Nova Town. Delta 9 was a peaceful colony far from Earth, far from war. Commander Rayner stood on the balcony of the military base, looking at the sky. He sipped his hot drink and smiled. "Another quiet day," he said. He was wrong. Suddenly, the sky turned dark. A loud alarm rang across the base. Rayner dropped his cup and ran inside. "Status report," he shouted. A young officer looked pale. "Sir, we have incoming ships. Not human. Not friendly." Rayner's heart dropped. "Zarnak?" The officer nodded. "Yes, sir. Over 30 warships. They're coming fast." Rayner looked at the screen. Red dots filled the sky. The alien fleet was huge. It was not a patrol. It was a full invasion. "All units to defense positions," Rayner ordered. "Activate shields. Evacuate civilians. This is not a drill." The first strike. Zarnak ships entered the atmosphere like falling fireballs. They attacked the main cities first, Nova Town, East Ridge, and Blue Valley. Their weapons were powerful. Buildings exploded. Roads cracked open. People screamed and ran. The local soldiers tried to fight back. Tanks rolled out of the base. Fighter jets took off. But it wasn't enough. Zarnak ground units landed with sharp claws and glowing eyes. They were tall, fast, and deadly. Their weapons cut through human armor like paper. Rayner watched the battlefield from the command center. "We can't hold them," he said, his voice low. "Sir, we lost contact with Nova Town. And East Ridge too," another officer added. Rayner looked at the burning map. Every green light was turning red. "We have to call Earth," he said. "Now." The last message. Rayner walked into the secure room. Only one machine still worked, the long-range transmitter. He began to record. "This is Commander Rayner of Delta 9, he said. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed fear. "We are under full attack by the Zarnak. They came without warning. They are winning." He paused and looked at the camera. "We tried to resist, but our forces are falling. Cities are gone. Millions are dead. We don't have much time." A loud explosion shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling. "They're breaking into the base now," he said quickly. "We need help, not just soldiers. We need them. Send them." He pressed the button to send the message. Then the screen went black. Outside the room, gunfire echoed. Screams, then silence. No hope left, Lyra. A 16-year-old girl was hiding under a broken bus in the city ruins. Her parents were gone. Her little brother was taken by the aliens. She held a sharp metal pipe in her hand, but she knew it was useless. She looked up at the sky. "Where is Earth?" she whispered. "Why aren't they coming?" Across the planet, survivors were hiding in basements, tunnels, and destroyed buildings. Everyone thought the same thing. The battle was lost. A red sky. High above Delta 9 in the orbit of the planet, something strange happened. The stars disappeared. A red light spread across the sky. Not fire. Not alien. Something else. Zarnak ships suddenly changed formation. Some of them stopped firing. A few even turned around. In the city, Lyra looked up. "What is that?" A small dot appeared in the red sky. Then another. Then dozens. The dots grew larger, falling fast like meteors. They hit the ground with a boom, one by one. Dust flew in the air. The earth shook. The Zarnak screamed. For the first time, they were afraid. Commander Rayner's final message echoed in the dark. "We are falling. Send them." They were sent. The orbital troopers had arrived. The ground was still shaking from the impact. Smoke rose from the places where the pods had landed. The sky was now a dark red like it had caught fire. Everyone on Delta 9, human and alien, looked up. Something had arrived. Lyra crawled out from under the broken bus. She stared at the crater near the destroyed hospital. A black pod stood in the center, half buried in the ground, its metal glowing red-hot from re-entry. The pod made no sound, no light, no movement. Then, click, it opened. Steam hissed out. A figure stepped out of the pod. It was tall, armored from head to toe. Helmet black as night. No face, no words, just silence. Lyra held her breath. Who are you? Fear in the enemy. Across the battlefield, more pods crashed into the ground. 50, maybe 100, one in every major city. The Zarnak tried to shoot them down. The pods were too fast, too small, too many. When the first trooper stepped out, the aliens opened fire. The trooper didn't move. The bullets hit his armor and bounced off like pebbles. Then he moved. Fast. In 1 second, the trooper was in front of the enemy. In 2 seconds, he had taken down 5 Zarnak soldiers. No words, no mercy, no hesitation. The aliens screamed and ran. Survivors watch. In the ruins of East Ridge, a group of survivors peeked out of a collapsed metro tunnel. They saw the black armored soldiers walking through fire and smoke, moving in teams of 3, clearing the streets with perfect timing. "They're not normal soldiers," an old man said. A young engineer replied, "That's Earth tech. I've heard of them, but I thought they were just rumors." A woman whispered, "No, they're real. Orbital troopers, the ghosts from space." Back at command. Deep inside the broken military base, Earth's signal tower blinked once, just once. Then it died. But in orbit above Delta 9, a hidden Earth warship received the final message. A dark command ship named ESS Vengeance. Inside, a tall officer read the message. "Delta 9 is falling. The commander is dead," he said. "Activate Protocol Sigma." Another officer replied, "Troopers already launched, sir. Mission has begun." The officer looked out the window at the burning planet below. "Good, let's show them what Earth sends when it gets serious." The girl and the ghost. Lyra followed the trooper from a distance. She stayed low, moving between rubble and shadows. The trooper walked slowly through the ruins, scanning with his arm device. Suddenly he stopped. Lyra froze. The trooper turned his head toward her. Then he walked straight to her hiding spot. Lyra's heart pounded. She held up her metal pipe. "Don't come close, I'll fight." The trooper didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he pointed at the ground. A small Zarnak drone was crawling near her foot. He aimed his wrist weapon, ZAP. The drone exploded. Lyra fell back. "Why, you saved me." The trooper didn't answer. He turned away. Lyra got up. "Wait, who are you?" The trooper paused. Then, in a cold mechanical voice, he said just one word. "Earth." Strange behavior. Other survivors noticed something strange. The orbital troopers didn't speak. They didn't take orders. They didn't ask for help. They just moved, like machines. But they weren't robots. They were human or something close. They never removed their helmets, never rested, never stopped. And they were not just fighting. They were searching. In several locations, troopers used scanners to dig into alien ruins. They broke into Zarnak labs and retrieved strange devices. They took data chips and crystal cores. What were they looking for? The Zarnak react. In orbit, inside a giant Zarnak command ship, the alien leader growled. "They've arrived," he said. "The Earth ghosts, the ones who fall from the sky." Another alien hissed. "They were not supposed to know. We moved quickly. How did they respond so fast?" The leader slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They know because we took too long. And now, they're here to take it back." Cliffhanger ending. Back in the ruins, Lyra followed the trooper into an old science lab. The place was full of broken machines and alien tech. The trooper scanned the room. Then he said something strange. "It's here. The signal is strong." Lyra asked, What are you looking for? The trooper didn't answer. Instead, he looked up at the ceiling. Above them, something was buried. Something big. Something dangerous. Lyra stood in the middle of the ruined alien lab. Broken glass and metal parts covered the floor. The air smelled like dust and smoke. The orbital trooper was scanning the ceiling, silent as always. "What are you searching for?" she asked again. No answer. The trooper raised his arm. A blue light scanned the wall. Strange symbols lit up, Sarnak language. The trooper recorded everything. Then he spoke for the first time in minutes. "Target located. Gravity core is nearby." Lyra stepped back. "Gravity core? What's that?" What again? Silence. The trooper walked deeper into the lab. Flashback, Earth's secret. Hundreds of miles above Delta 9, inside the ESS Vengeance command ship, Officer Malik stood in front of a group of officers. He activated a hologram showing Delta 9, the Zarnak invasion, and strange energy signals underground. "These signals are not from Zarnak," Malik said. "They were here before them. Ancient tech. Something powerful." A young officer asked, "Sir, what are the orbital troopers really doing down there?" "I thought this was a rescue mission." Malik turned to him. "This is not just about saving lives. It's about protecting Earth." He pointed to a small red dot on the screen. "If the Zarnak activate that device, they can pull Earth out of orbit. They can destroy the planet without firing a single shot." The room went silent. "That's why we sent them. The orbital troopers, Earth's last line of defense." "What are they?" Back on Delta 9, Lyra followed the trooper carefully. She watched his movements, so fast, so perfect, so cold. "Are you human?" she asked. The trooper stopped. After a pause, he replied, "Enhanced." Lyra looked confused. "Enhanced how?" He didn't answer. Instead, he removed one of his gloves. Lyra gasped. His hand looked human, but not normal. The skin was pale, with veins glowing blue. Tiny implants ran under the skin. His fingers moved like a machine. "You were made for this," she whispered. The trooper nodded. The troopers passed. Somewhere far away, in the hidden labs of Earth, children were raised without families, without normal lives. They were trained in space. Their bodies were modified with zero-gravity tech. Their bones were stronger. Their blood carried nanobots. Their eyes could see in the dark. They had no names, only numbers. The trooper following Lyra was once called Subject 9. He had no memories of a home, no childhood, only war. They were trained for one mission: protect humanity at any cost. The vault. The trooper and Lyra reached a deep underground vault. It was sealed with ancient alien technology. "Can you open it?" Lyra asked. The trooper shook his head. "Only human DNA can pass the lock. The Zarnak could not enter. That's why they waited until humans came." He looked at her. "You must open it." Lyra's hand shook. "Me? Why me?" "You are from Delta 9. Your DNA is registered. You are the key." She stepped forward. A scanner appeared. She placed her hand on it. Beep, scan accepted. The vault door opened slowly. Inside, a glowing device hovered in the air. It pulsed with strange energy, like a beating heart. "That's it?" she asked. "That small thing?" The trooper replied, "That small thing can destroy planets." They are watching. High above in the Zarnak command ship, the alien leader watched the vault open through hidden cameras. "They have found it," he growled. "Prepare the elite units, send them all." His second-in-command hissed, "But the orbital troopers." The leader slammed his fist. "I don't care. That gravity core belongs to us." One trooper, one secret. Back at the vault, Lyra asked the trooper, "Why did you take off your helmet?" He paused. Then he whispered, "Because I don't know who I am without it." She stared at him. For the first time, he didn't seem like a machine. He seemed human. Before she could say anything more, the ground shook violently. Boom, boom, boom. Heavy footsteps echoed through the tunnels. "They found us," the trooper said. He handed her a small metal cube. "Take this. If I fall, you must protect the core." Lyra clutched it tightly. "Are you going to fight them alone?" He turned toward the tunnel entrance. "That's what I was made for." Cliffhanger ending. The screen goes black. Then we hear roars in the dark, weapons charging, footsteps running. Lyra's voice whispers, "I thought he was just a machine, but now I know he was more human than any of us." The air turned cold inside the underground vault. Lyra held the small metal cube close to her chest. The orbital trooper stood in front of her, gun ready, body still. From the tunnel behind them came heavy sounds, metal steps, growls, alien voices. The Zarnak elite were coming. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Then a loud voice echoed through the chamber. It wasn't human. It wasn't Zarnak. Energy core detected. Safety protocol disengaged. Lyra looked at the glowing device floating in the center of the vault. "It's waking up," she whispered. The orbital trooper turned his head slightly. "Then we don't have much time." Attack begins. The wall behind them exploded. Dust and fire filled the tunnel. Lyra screamed and fell to the ground. 5 tall Zarnak elites entered, twice the size of normal soldiers. Their armor was black and red. Their weapons glowed with deadly power. One of them roared, pointing at the core. "Take it." The orbital trooper stepped forward. He didn't wait. With lightning speed, he launched into battle. His rifle fired with perfect aim. Boom, boom, boom. One elite fell. Then he switched to hand combat, blades sliding from his arms. He moved like a storm, silent, fast, deadly. But there were too many. Lyra crawled behind a broken pillar, holding the cube tightly. She could only watch. Flashback. Earth's warning. In Earth's secret military files, the gravity core was labeled as Project Echo. Thousands of years old, not made by humans, not made by Zarnak, it was left behind by an unknown ancient race. Its power? Not a bomb, not a shield. It could bend gravity, pull moons, stop planets, even crush stars. Earth had hidden it on Delta 9, far from war, far from greedy hands. But the secret was now exposed. The trooper falls. In the vault, the orbital trooper fought hard. 3 Zarnak elites were already dead, but the last 2 were smart. One hit the trooper with a gravity pulse. He crashed into the wall. Sparks flew from his armor. Lyra cried out, "No." The trooper tried to stand. His helmet was cracked. Blood dripped from his mouth. One elite aimed a final shot. Suddenly, VOM. A second trooper dropped from the ceiling. Backup had arrived. Lyra's choice. While the 2 troopers fought, Lyra heard the voice again. Human DNA match confirmed. Begin link process. She looked at the glowing core. A hologram appeared in front of her. To control the core, place the cube inside. Lyra's hands shook. "But I'm not a soldier. I don't know what I'm doing." The trooper, still fighting, shouted, "Do it. It will obey you." Lyra took a deep breath. She ran toward the core and placed the cube inside. Everything went silent. Then the vault exploded with blue light. A new power. The light wrapped around Lyra's body. She floated above the ground. Her eyes turned bright white. The core had chosen her. With a wave of her hand, the gravity around her changed. The 2 Zarnak elites were suddenly lifted into the air, screaming, then smashed into the walls like paper. Silence. The battle was over. The second trooper looked at Lyra. She's the controller now. The first trooper, wounded, nodded. She has the link. Protect her at all costs. The Zarnak react. In the alien command ship, the Zarnak leader roared in anger. The core has bonded with a child. One of his officers replied, "And the orbital troopers are guarding her." The leader clenched his claws. "Then we must destroy the entire planet." A new mission. In the vault, the troopers checked their weapons. Lyra floated gently to the ground. The light faded from her eyes, but something inside her had changed. I felt its mind," she said. "It's not just a machine. It's alive, and it wants to help us." The trooper asked, "Can you control it?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but I don't know how long." He turned to his partner. "We need to get her off-world." "The Zarnak won't let us leave," the second trooper warned. The first one stared at the ceiling. "Then we make them." Cliffhanger ending. The troopers and Lyra stood at the edge of the vault entrance, looking up at the burning sky. The voice of the Corps whispered in her mind, "They fear you now, but greater danger is coming." Lyra looked at the trooper. "What happens now?" He answered in a quiet voice, "Now you fight for Earth." The skies above Delta 9 turned darker. Not because of night, but because of shadows. Thousands of Zarnak ships arrived in orbit. Big, black, and silent, like death itself. Inside the alien mothership, the Zarnak leader gave the final order. Burn the colony. Kill the troopers. Destroy the core. Countdown to destruction. Back on the surface, Lyra sat in a makeshift war room deep inside the ruins of a human bunker. Her hands still glowed faintly from the gravity core's energy. Commander Malik appeared on a hologram from Earth. "You need to move now," he said. "They've sent their full fleet. If the core is destroyed, Earth is next." Lyra asked, "Why don't you send more help?" Malik looked down. "We can't. All fleets are defending Earth. You're on your own." The transmission ended. The room went silent. The plan. The lead orbital trooper, his armor cracked and scorched, stood beside Lyra. "We have one option," he said. "Fly the core into orbit. Use its energy to break the blockade." "But how will we survive that?" she asked. The trooper paused. "We won't." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "There must be another way." The second trooper entered. "There isn't. But maybe, just maybe, we can delay them long enough for you to escape." Lyra looked between the two armored giants, half human, half machine, but fully ready to die. She clenched her fists. "No, I'm not running." The human spirit. Across Delta 9, word spread fast. Lyra, the girl who bonded with the ancient weapon, was preparing for the final stand. Survivors, farmers, engineers, even children came out of hiding. They carried tools, weapons, and hope. In every ruined city, humans began to fight back. The orbital troopers coordinated the resistance. In Sector 7, an old train engine was turned into a mobile cannon. In the mountains, colonists rigged weather towers to fire EMP bursts. It was not enough to win, but it was enough to make the Zarnak bleed. The core awakens. Lyra sat alone with the gravity core. "Can you hear me?" she asked softly. The core pulsed. "Yes, controller." "Can you destroy the enemy fleet?" "Yes, but I will burn out. You will lose me forever." Lyra's voice shook. "Then I'll lose you. But I won't lose Earth." She stood up. "Let's go." The final battle. At sunrise, the Zarnak launched a full attack. Thousands of fighters swarmed the sky. The orbital troopers fought like demons, fast, silent, deadly. Humans on the ground fired every weapon they had, from rooftops, hills, tunnels. Lyra, now glowing with the core's energy, stepped onto a launch pad with two troopers. A ship waited, small, fast, built for one purpose, to reach orbit. As it launched, a Zarnak beam sliced through the sky, hitting the ship's wing. Explosion. The troopers shielded Lyra with their bodies as the ship spun out of control. A last stand in space. The burning ship broke through the atmosphere. One trooper was dead. The second one barely breathing. But Lyra was alive and still holding the core. They reached orbit, surrounded by Zarnak warships. Lyra opened the ship's hatch and stepped outside, floating in space. Her eyes shone like stars. The Zarnak fleet locked weapons, but Lyra raised her hand. The core exploded with light. The price of power. The gravity core unleashed a wave of pure energy. Zarnak ships were pulled together, crushed under their own weight. Some were dragged into the nearby moon. Others burst into pieces, unable to escape the force. But the cost was high. Lyra's body glowed brighter and brighter, until she was no longer visible. Just a single beam of light, holding back the darkness. Then silence. Aftermath. 1 week later, Delta 9 was quiet again. The few remaining Zarnak forces had retreated. The sky was clear. The survivors gathered where the vault once stood. The first orbital trooper, his armor now covered in dust, stood alone. He held a small piece of the core, no longer glowing. "She saved us," someone said. The trooper nodded. "She saved more than us. She saved Earth." Cliffhanger ending. Back on Earth, inside a deep underground lab, alarms beeped softly. A small signal had returned. Not a voice, not a message, just a pulse. And with it came a whisper through the machine. "I'm not gone." 2 months had passed since the battle. Delta 9 was quiet now. The sky was blue again. Children played in the dusty streets. Crops grew where craters once burned. The people were rebuilding. But Lyra was gone. No one saw her after the final explosion in space. No body, no voice, only silence. And yet, something strange remained. A signal from the stars. Far above Delta 9, in Earth's orbital scanner base, an officer sat at his station, half asleep. Suddenly, a blinking red light caught his eye. Unknown energy signature detected. He leaned forward. Where is it coming from? The screen zoomed in. It wasn't from a ship or a satellite. It was from deep space. And it was her signal. Return of the troopers. The remaining orbital troopers had returned to Earth. Some were injured. Some didn't survive. But all were honored as heroes. They were no longer secret weapons. They were symbols of hope. Commander Malik stood in front of them. "You protected humanity when no one else could. You've earned rest, but the war isn't over." The lead trooper said nothing. He still remembered her, Lyra, the girl who wasn't trained to fight, yet held the power to destroy a fleet. The girl who showed him what it meant to be human. The hidden room. On Delta 9, in the ruins of the vault, a young scavenger named Kai discovered a door he had never seen before. It pulsed faintly, with blue light. He touched it. It opened. Inside was a dark chamber. On the wall, symbols glowed in the air: Zarnak, human, and something older. At the center floated a small orb. It looked like a piece of the gravity core. Kai reached for it. Suddenly, a voice filled the room. Not loud, not mechanical. Soft, familiar, human. "I'm still here." What was the core? Back on Earth, scientists studied the core fragment left behind. Their conclusion was shocking. The gravity core wasn't just a machine. It was a vessel. A living storage of knowledge, energy, and maybe even souls. The ancient builders had used it to preserve minds, thoughts, memories. When it bonded with Lyra, she became part of it. Not dead, just transformed. The voice returns. In Kai's dreams, the voice spoke again. This time he saw her, Lyra, standing in a world made of stars. "You have to protect it," she said. "Protect what?" Kai asked. She pointed to the stars. "They're coming. Something worse than the Zarnak. I saw it, out there. Can we stop it?" She smiled. "Not yet, but one day, you'll be ready." Rise of the next Guardian. The orbital troopers began training again. But now they were not alone. Delta 9 became a training ground for new defenders, humans from all colonies, men and women who remembered the battle and wanted to fight for the future. And leading them was Kai. He didn't have armor. He didn't have powers. But he had the voice of Lyra guiding him. Final message. One last signal came through, broadcast across Earth, Mars, and every human colony. It showed a glowing field of stars. Lyra's voice played, soft and clear. The light is not gone. I'm part of it now. And when the darkness returns, I will too. Ending scene. The camera pans up from Delta 9, rising through the clouds into orbit, and finally to deep space. A faint light glows far away, like a candle in the void. A whisper follows. This was only the beginning. Kyo B Sion T Ud.